Welcome to the Hanford Dixon Show. I'm Gabriella Cruz alongside the top dog. How you doing this week, Hanford?
I am great, Gabby. I could be feeling a lot better if we were in some of these games, all the excitement that's going on right now in the National Football League. But other than that, I am okay.
Yeah, you seem to be recovered enough, which is good. Have you been keeping up with these games then? What have you been up to?
Well, I have been keeping up, and it's a little funny. I thought yesterday, actually, Saturday, I wasn't going to do anything because I was just locked into I wanted to see what was going to happen during the Ravens and the Houston Texans ball game because obviously, you know as well as I do, we watched that game when we played them, and how they just took our number one defense and just literally pretty much CJ did whatever he wanted to do to our football team, especially our defense. And I was very, very locked in. I wanted to see how the Ravens were going to counter that, how they were going to play that with their young defensive coordinator. If I'm not mistaken, I think their defensive coordinator got some Michigan ties somewhere. McDonald, I think he's got some Michigan ties. But to see what happened, obviously, and we're going to jump into it, but I'll say this real quick. It was a 10-10 ball game at the end at halftime, and then to see the Ravens come out with scored 24 points in the second half. I mean, it was just they destroyed them. I mean, they absolutely destroyed them. So what I did was Saturday, I was locked into that game, and people could say what they want to say. The Ravens used to be the Cleveland Browns. I mean, they really did. I mean, people give Art Modell a hard time, but what he did was he moved the Browns, the old Browns, to the Baltimore area, as you know, and but he left the name here. So you have to give him credit for that. But we also know that I'm best friends with Ozzie Newsome, who is executive vice president still with the Baltimore Ravens. So I wanted to see them win because of him. Obviously, I wish we were in that game. But what I did was I sat home on the couch and I watched that game, didn't go anywhere, didn't have a pop or nothing like that.
Wow.
Just watched the game because I was glued in. Now, Sunday, I was supposed to do something a little bit different because I was going to go to, had an appearance in North Ridgeville. Give a shout out to the North Ridgeville Browns backers. I was supposed to go and watch the game, do some stuff for them. But I got a call, and it was just crazy because the bar that they were going to have this thing, the bar restaurant they were going to have this thing from, said the place burned down.
No way.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the name of it, but I'm just happy no one was in there, no one got hurt or anything like that. But the place burned down.
Wow.
And I'll look up the name in a minute.
Well, with this weather and everything,
yeah,
and furnaces.
Yeah. So it was crazy. So I didn't Sunday. I didn't go either anywhere there. I just watched all the game. But Gab, it was just a great weekend for football, as you know, watching all those games.
Did you end up talking to Ozzie then?
Well, yeah, we did.
What? Anything you can share on air?
No, I can't. He and I.
We just got to have him on next week when, well, hopefully they win.
Well. Yeah, and because he was actually going to come on with us today because, you know, he doesn't have a choice. When we say come on,
he's got to come on.
But he's pretty much, they were in scouting meetings all day, and so that's all right. But we'll get him, obviously, if they win, or shall I say, after they win.
Okay. They're going to beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, they're going to beat the Chiefs. We'll have him on. But I want to, and it's so funny because one of the questions I wanted to ask him, Gab, I don't know if you got a chance to see this, but did you see John Harbaugh in the locker room after the game? Did you see? You know what? He's got some dance moves. I mean, he had some dance moves.
Oh,
you didn't see it? You missed it?
I fell asleep, but I'm surprised I didn't see this on Twitter.
Oh, my goodness. He was really shaking it up, and I was just shocked. I mean, that's the first time I've ever, because, again, this is why I say during the playoffs is when I really miss not playing in the National Football League, because this is when you really feel close to your teammates. This is when you feel that brotherhood. This is when you guys have to have each other's back. And in those locker rooms, and especially on that football field after a big win like that, I mean, it was just phenomenal. But Harbaugh, I couldn't. We know those guys can coach. I mean, they have 3 generations of.
I'm watching it on YouTube right now.
Are you see what I'm talking about? I mean, he's really hitting a mood. No,
how about?
Look at him. He dance almost as good as you do.
What are your dance moves compared to his?
Yeah, but I can throw down a little bit. Now, don't think I can't hit a little move.
Is it more in the shoulders kind of guy, or you got a little in the hips too?
I got a little bit everywhere. But here's what's funny. I don't know which player it was, but after he finished hitting his move, he called. I think it was with the wide receiver he called on, and he wanted him to come out, and I don't think he was ready for it. But he still hit a move.
Still got out there.
But it was just an exciting day as far as football all the way around, watching these games. And obviously, the sad part about it, someone has to win, someone has to lose. And when you lose now, you go home. And right now we're down to the final 4 teams. Final 4 teams is where we are right now. And that's why it's just so exciting. And Gab, I'll tell you this. Everybody on those teams, they have everybody on their staff watching the team or the opponent that they're going to have to play, just trying to pick up any little thing that they can pick up that they can use during the course of that ball game to help the team win a game. And it's just you could tell I get excited just by talking about it right now, because this is the time again, and I keep saying it, and I keep saying it, and I keep saying it. This is the time that I really miss not playing in the National Football League. But we'll jump into that a little bit more.
It's the final countdown.
Boy, there she goes. I knew she was gonna hit her tune, but she can sing. She really can hit a tune. Hey, real quick, what did you do yesterday?
Okay, I watched football with my sister.
Oh,
yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, her boyfriend went out of town. He went with him and his brother to the Bills game, and obviously they were rooting for Taylor Swift. So I don't know. I was kind of pulling for the Bills.
Well,
but
I was going to ask you: is that her boyfriend or is that her husband? Did she get married?
It's her boyfriend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to ask you this.
Yes.
Did you see Jason Kelsey?
Oh, yes.
Did you see him at the Chiefs game?
Listen, that's our spirit animal right now. I think. How do you not love that guy?
Oh, I love it. And he was taking a shot out of a bowling ball,
shirtless. And the bowling ball, the drinks, the high fives. He was picking up little kids. He was like the mayor. He was just handshakes and everything.
And I'll say this. I know we have to take a quick break, but I'll say this. Did you see him when he jumped down out of the booth into the Bills fans? Only he could get away with that one, because who's going to tell Jason that he can't jump down? I'm not messing with him.
And he's so lovable.
Yes.
All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back with more Hanford Dixon Show right after this. Welcome back to the Hanford Dixon Show. I'm Gabriella Cruz alongside the top dog. And Hanford, you might just get roasted on Twitter by Browns fans with all your Ravens advocacy over here. I know you and Ozzy are boys, but
see, that would, it would not be the first time, because my loyalties is I bleed orange and brown, and I just want everybody to understand that. But still, I like the Ravens, because the Ravens used to be the Cleveland Browns. But Ozzy would be the first one to tell you, when the Ravens are playing the Browns, oh, don't even talk to me. Don't even talk to me, because I want the Browns to win, and and I wish we were right now had won the AFC North. I wish that all those teams was coming into Cleveland to play us. But I want to see him do well. I want to see his team do well, because we are not in it. Now, I don't think I could feel that way about the other teams in the AFC North, but the Ravens got some of that Browns history right there with them. So I kind of like them a little bit.
Understand.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
understand.
yeah.
Of the final four teams in the playoffs, if you had to compare where the Browns are, where we're headed to these final four teams, how close are the Browns to being at that stage or being in that?
I get your question, and I think it's a good question. I think we're very close. When you look at this football team and some of the things that this football team accomplished this year, I think it was just phenomenal. Obviously, and it had a lot to do with the players that Andrew Berry and obviously Stefanski and his coaching staff had to coach these guys. And you look at some of the injuries. I mean, we had 5 different starting quarterback on this football team. We kind of put everything in one basket with Deshaun, and it was very unfortunate that he got hurt. So hopefully he's going to heal and be back for next season and be ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, I guess the better question is, with Deshaun and Chubb healthy, do you see us being in the Final Four position like that?
I really do, because this offense with those two guys, I think it can really click because obviously everything starts with running the football, and it doesn't come any better than Nick Chubb. I mean, this guy, every time he touches the football, I mean, he averages somewhere around 5 to 6 yards a carry, and that is just great. I mean, I know me as a defensive back, I don't want to see this guy coming at me in the backfield, because this guy's a great north and south runner. I mean, that's just what he is. And look at his thighs. Look how big they are. So hopefully, I'm a little bit worried about him, because that's the second operation he's had on that knee. But you're talking about the best doctors in the world, and hopefully we'll have him back, and hopefully Deshaun will be back. But our football team, I tell you, with the players that we have on it, with the athletes that we have on this football team, I mean, obviously, we were in the playoffs. We made the playoffs. So it's a shame that we couldn't take it any farther, but that's okay. This team will be back, and I think they'll be ready to go. They'll be ready to compete by the time next season rolls around.
We're already seeing some of these changes in the offseason with coaches, the firings, rather. Were you surprised by any that we've seen so far? Offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt, running backs coach Stump Mitchell. We actually had him on the Reflog show. Or the tight ends coach T.C. McCartney. Were you surprised by any of these?
I was very, very shocked because I was surprised that he made any changes to his staff. Number one, Stump Mitchell, the running backs coach. That one really got me and caught me by surprise, because I just didn't think, with the job that he's done with these running backs is just been great. I mean, Nick Chubb's, Ford, Strong, looking at some of these guys that he's brought in and what he's, the job that he's done with these guys has just been great. And I was shocked to see him go. Now, I have to say this about Van Pelt, the offensive coordinator that we let go. I didn't understand, obviously he had the title of offensive coordinator, OC, but I just don't think he was really the offensive coordinator, because Stefanski is the guy who's calling all the plays. And, usually when you have a guy that's offensive coordinator, he's got a much bigger role. And who knows what goes on in those meetings that they have in the offensive meetings. But I'm not shocked about him going. But Stefanski made a change to his staff, and he felt that he needed a change to his staff. And I think I would be surprised if he doesn't get some feedback from Stump Mitchell, the running backs coach, because I would think that guy was pretty close with Nick Chubb and and a lot of those guys in that running back room, because my understanding is they really, really liked him. And he's been with this football team for 4 or 5 years. I mean, he's been on that coaching staff. So, and you know what he did? He did he had a really classy move before he left. He wrote a letter to the fans, the Cleveland Browns fans, before he left, just letting them know how much he appreciated his time, him and his family here in Cleveland. And I think he's going to miss Cleveland.
Yeah.
But again, I was shocked that he made some changes to that offensive staff.
He seems like a very special guy. I was watching some of the NFL films, special or features on him, and you got a little bit more behind closed doors look at him and his influence. He's such a character, such a genuine guy, kind of an underdog type guy.
Well, Gab, you can't miss him. I mean, he's got that beard, and it's so funny. You know, he's got that white beard that's hanging off. You know, I think it's getting longer and longer and longer. And but he's genuine. I mean, he's genuine, and he's a damn good coach. Wasn't a bad running back neither. It wasn't
for the
it
Cardinals.
Was not a bad running back. So, but you know, I'm really shocked that he's no longer with this organization. So that's a little crazy.
It'll be interesting to see where he goes from there. How about, without having to name names, maybe just characteristics? What kind of coach would you like to see fill some of these voids we have currently?
Well, you know, obviously he's got to, it's got to be someone that's going to come in and really build that rapport with the players. And because I know me as my coach, you know, you have to be able to talk to these guys. You have to be able to relate to a lot of these players today. And it can be kind of hard, because when these guys are making the kind of money that they're making today, it's just that coach or whoever he is, he's got to be that special person. And see, with the offensive coordinator, it's going to be weird, because you got Stefanski, who really has a role of head coach and offensive coordinator, because like I said earlier, he's the guy, as we know, who is calling the plays. And that offensive coordinator has got to be someone that come in here and does not mind taking a back seat to Kevin Stefanski, because, and who knows? I mean, maybe he's going to hire someone where he wants to, or is going to give up the play calling. But I don't see that. I mean, Stefanski, I'm not going to say his ego. He's not bad at doing it. And it's something that he likes to take control of it, because when you look at it, I mean, obviously there's other guys in the National Football League that are calling the head coaches that are calling the plays, and you want to look at one of them right now that's in the NFC Championship game. And you're talking about Shanahan. I mean, he's the guy right now. He is the head coach, and he's also calling the plays. And as a result, that's got them to the championship game. So it cannot be a bad thing. But again, that guy that comes in here, who's going to have the title of offensive coordinator, he's got it's sort of like a give and take scenario a little bit, because Stefanski is the one that's going to really have that title, and he's the one that's going to call the offensive plays. And this guy, he's just got to be a part of it.
There's got to be that compatible dynamic. Yeah. You can't fight big ego with, I know it's not ego, but, you know, it can't be more than one cook in the kitchen.
Well, it is ego too. I mean, let's just face it. I mean, athletes.
Everybody thinks they're right.
Yeah, and we all have egos, so it is ego. You're right with that when you said ego.
Perfect. Well, we've got to take one more break, Hanford. I'll ask you some more questions. We'll be back with the Hanford Dixon Show right after this. Welcome back to the Hanford Dixon Show. I'm Gabriella Cruz. Thanks so much for watching. We were just going over some of the Browns' new changes this offseason, some of the coaches that are being fired. Let's talk players, though. Hanford, Browns have a lot of free agents. Which players would you like to see back? And who do you think will lose? I know on the top of your list, Flacco. You want Flacco all day, baby.
You notice when you said that, I just started smiling, because you are exactly right. That's one guy that I want back with this football team, because you could say what you want to say about Flacco. You know, he's going to throw an interception here and there, but he's a guy that goes out, Gab, and he competes every single down. And an interception here or there doesn't faze him. And that playoff game against the Texans, people could, I hear a lot of people try to blame Flacco for the loss of that game. I think they're crazy. I mean, I really do. I think they've lost their mind. Sure, Flacco threw 2 pick six, but that's not the reason why we lost that football game. One thing I always say, because I remember in the AFC Championship game, one of them was the fumble, and we had a guy, Gab, Ernest Biner, who played for us, and he fumbled that ball. One thing that I did, one thing that pretty much everybody on our football team, we went up to Ernest Biner, and we wanted to let him know that he was not the reason we lost that ball game, even though he had the big fumble. He was not the reason, because if a lot of people go back and watch that game, without Ernest, we wouldn't have even been in that game. I mean, he had a phenomenal game, played really, really well. But getting back to Flacco, he wasn't the reason. But you're right. I would like to see us keep Flacco. I'd like to see him as the number 2 guy behind Deshaun Watson. But it's going to cost us money, and it should, because that's the quarterback position. That is the money position.
How about Kareem Hunt?
Kareem Hunt is a guy. I think it's going to be a tricky situation with him, because when you look at it, the numbers just wasn't there. I mean, Kareem Hunt came out and he gave you pretty much everything that he had. I think he's going to be what we call a casualty there. He's not going. He's going to be one of the guys that I doubt if he's back with this football team. Would I love to have him back? Yes, I would love to have him back with this football team. Some of the guys is Jack Conklin, the tackle. I mean, obviously he's been hurt off and on, but he's a guy I don't think because those tackles, man, when you bring those guys on, I mean, you're talking about big money. And we had the kid from Jones from Ohio State that came in and filled in, and he was just phenomenal in that role. So I think that's gonna make Jack. I think we could possibly get rid of him. Looking at some of the other guys, I mean, some of the big guys, I mean, let's go in the secondary. Greg Newsome. I mean, he's the guy that obviously I don't know if we'll have him back, because Greg Newsome is looking for a big contract. And let's just face it, I mean, he made our secondary better. He really did. Between the 3 corners, it was pretty good. So he was just awesome. So he's a guy, but I think he's expendable. I don't think he's the guy that we're going to give all that money to. And Marquise Goodwin, wide receiver, he's a guy. I think he's turning 34 as a wide receiver. Still can run, still pretty fast, but he's the guy. I think he's going to be gone. And then check out this. Tight end, I wrote this down. You want to hear this. Tight end Harrison Bryant. I mean, he's a guy who we gave a lot of money to. Now, over the 5 years that we paid him, listen to this. We paid him $54,304 per catch, $6,110 per yard, and then we gave him $483,203 per touchdown. Now, you tell me, do we need to bring him back or not?
Well, you need to tell me first. Did you do this math?
Oh, no, I didn't, but I had you do it for me. So, and that's how I know it's right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy? Sometimes it happens all the time.
It's just absolutely crazy. But I was talking. One of the guys, though, I think we really need to go out and sign, and that's Zadarius Smith. I mean, we need to bring this guy back, because Zadarius, I mean, obviously he had 5.5 sacks. He had a lot of tackles for a loss. And I think as far as miles, we need a Zadarius Smith on this football team, because he takes some of that pressure, a little bit of that pressure off of Myles Garrett. So
he's a big help, and he's also great from that veteran presence standpoint as well. Great character, great glue.
But did the Harrison Bryant numbers, did they get you?
That, when you break it down like that, is pretty astounding.
We are paying him $483,000 $83,303 per touchdown catch. So he didn't have a lot of touchdown catches, and he didn't have.
Well,
He didn't have a lot of catches, so that's where those big numbers came in.
it's tough. It's got to be tough to predict. When you have such high hopes for a player and injuries and things like that, it's so wild. But
But looking at those guys though, it's going to be interesting to see if we sign any of those guys. Again, that's where Andrew Berry and Stefanski's job gets a little tough because it's tough to decide how to assemble this team and what guys to bring back, and especially when you everything is under the cap. You got to be at that cap number.
speaking of, Andrew Barry said that he wants Flacco back.
Well, he'd be crazy not to. I mean, Flacco took us on a run. I mean, he took us on a run, and toward the end of the season, and he got us in the playoffs. And that's why I like the guy. That's why I think we should have the guy back. He's 39 years old. Bring him back, Gab.
Bring him back,
Gab,
though.
we're going to have a special guest on next, right?
Yes, we are. Okay, a nice little tease. I like what you did there. We've got a special guest coming up right after this. We have to take another break, Hanford. Thanks for watching the Hanford Dixon Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Hanford Dixon Show. I'm Gabriella Cruz alongside the Top Dog, and we got our headphones on. Well, actually, Hanford has always had his headphones on because he just always likes to wear them.
You don't like to wear the headphones because you don't want it messing up your hair.
Listen.
You try. See, I don't have any hair, so I don't have that problem.
I think you just think they're stylish or something. We've got him on because we're going to bring on our special guest of the day, 7-year NFL vet, spent 5 years with the Browns, 2 with the Dolphins, and he was a teammate of yours, another cornerback.
Yes.
Hanford, please welcome Stephen Braggs. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yay!
Thank you guys so much for the invite.
Yeah, so what are you up to now? We were calling you earlier, and you're working with a lot of kids. Did you say first grade?
Yes, we had some first graders. I volunteer my time to come out just to get me out of the house some days, just to move around, to just escort kids from one little location to the other. And sometimes the coaches on campus, they like to talk to me about football, and I just give them some ideas and thoughts, and then I just head back home.
Okay, so you're at a private school in Austin there, Trinity Episcopal?
Yes, that's correct.
Awesome.
How did you get that, Gab? You are good.
Listen, I'm wearing these glasses today, and I'm really good at pronunciation now.
Well, you are good. You go, girl. Give me a high five on that one,
First graders, is that the only grade that you're in charge of with the escorting and everything, or is it all grades?
First grade and kindergartners, they're the ones that kind of need a little more leadership when you take them from a class to go to the other class. So it's like a 2 or 3 minute transition from one class to the next. But that 2 or 3 minutes, kind of, hurting little first graders and kindergarten sometimes. They like to have fun.
Hey, if I was one of those coaches, you talking about picking your brain, I would be driving you absolutely crazy because Dawg, I would stay because I want that knowledge. You would get tired of me. You know that?
Yeah, well, you taught me a lot. You guys, I played under you guys' tutelage, and I used to tell folks all the time how we used to do reports on receivers. It was just like a little business, and I wouldn't have the success I did if it wasn't for Hanford, Top Dog there, and Felix Wright and all those guys, and Minifield and so forth.
What was that like playing with Hanford? What did you pick up from him?
Hey, be careful, pup. Be careful now. Be careful, dog.
We got a guy.
Hey, don't tell her that, dog. Come on, man. You can't.
No. Well,
we got a guy.
That's right. I think I tell everybody I had the best times of my life in Cleveland. I've always stood behind that. I was a little quiet guy, but Hanford, he's a leader back there, and so I was able to come in and he kind of put his arms around me and just kind of watched him. And they called me puppet. I just kind of watched everything he did. He didn't really know that, and so he was kind of my mentor quietly, and I always tell him how much I appreciate it. So from there. I don't know. I just got the great grace of God. It allows me to be around kids and to be around people. And I thank him for that today.
I think it's really cool you've got this nickname, Puppy Dog. I can only imagine where this came from. Maybe something about the dog pound, maybe something about Hanford, the top dog.
It came out. Hanford, he was one named it. It was my rookie season, right, Hanford?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And he said I had a mentor, and I did a mentor play where they would do interviews and stuff each day, and then Hanford Dixon was like, "Hey, we got Puppy Dog right there," and then from then on, it stuck, and I was Puppy Dog around. People called me Puppy Dog before they even knew my name, so I was Puppy Dog to everyone else, and no one really knew my first name. So yeah, Hanford named me Puppy Dog, and I was like, that's a great fitting, great tribute that he was named me that to follow what his leadership.
Hey, Stephen, you talked about Texas, but did Texas beat Alabama this year?
Yes, they did. They did.
I mean, did that make you proud?
It did.
I mean, Dawg. I mean, because I got a problem with that. I'm a Southern Mississippi guy, but
I understand.
I had scholarships to Alabama, Auburn, and everything. I tell them I still got people in my family that won't talk to me because I didn't sign with Alabama. But me and Ozzy I told Ozzy you was coming on the show, and we were talking about that. And Ozzy wanted me to tell you that he's not happy with what transpired. Steve, you got because your head coach used to coach at Alabama with Nick Saban, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
that's correct.
So that made you happy beating up on Roll Tide, didn't it?
Well, those times we had with Nick Saban. So that was another scenario there. So I'm going to leave that where that is. So let's put it on that category first. Okay, the Nick Saban role.
Do you keep up mostly with college or NFL or either? Are you up to date on watching football? I guess since you're so busy.
Yes, I do. I follow my horn since I'm here in Austin. And I get an opportunity to come up to Cleveland. Sometime I used to be every year to go with the alumni thing, but recently I hadn't come up as often. But I do wear my Brown stuff around. When Miami's Dolphins are playing, I wear my Miami Dolphins stuff. But I never was a guy that always follow a lot of sports, but because those guys taught me about just learning the game and learning about players. But I still follow up.
Stephen, does it drive you crazy? I mean, it drives me crazy today watching some of these defensive backs and especially cornerbacks, some of the techniques and things they do and the tackling. And, because one thing we did, we realized that, even if it was a big back coming out the backfield, we would take these guys and we would wrap them up, knowing that you might drag us 1 or 2 yards, but we're gonna take you down. I mean, you have a lot of these guys with these bad techniques. They come up and they don't even bring their arms to wrap any of these guys up. They just want to go hit them and thinking that's going to bring them down. And you see a guy break the tackle and go about 5 yards, and then the pass interference. I mean, they panic. They don't turn their head around. I mean, a lot of times if they turn their head around, they can make a play on the ball or something. But they panic and they go and they hit the guy with their, head not turning around. But again, my point is, some of these techniques and things they're teaching these guys and what they're doing today, it's crazy. Do you agree with that or not?
Well, I think they need to go back and look at some of our old school film
and
see how we played guys and we turned around and stayed in phase with guys. And we did a lot of drills that were allowed us to have that poise and that confidence playing the deep ball. So I would say these guys go back and look at some of the things that we did when we played pure man-to-man, because that's what we were. We're pure man-to-man players. And we went up and bump and run on guys. And when you play bump and run, the word bump is very important because they don't use their hands at the line of scrimmage. So when you go look at us and see how we bump and run and techniques, and I think they could use some of that to add to all the gifted talent that they really have. They're so much bigger and faster than we were. And so I think if they go back and look at those scenarios, I think they will see that they can get some things out of that.
What are some of the biggest questions that coaches like to pick your brain about?
How do you stop an offense? in general. Uh, uh, hey, can you help me with my quarterback? Yeah, I was a quarterback in high school because I was gonna go to Oklahoma to play quarterback, but I went to Texas. The quarterback, but basically, how to stop this offense, how to stop this, how to run this coverages, what's the best coverage for that, and so forth and so on. And I'm able to give them the information to help them be successful.
Gap, Steve was now Puppy Dog was fast. Now, Pup, can you run that 40 today?
Yeah, I probably run about 2, 3 steps. What I can honestly say I got the first 5 steps of drive phase down. But after that Hanford, I come home and the missus was like, "Oh, you've been trying to run again."
Right.
I'm in Epsom salt and yeah. So it's tough for me.
Gab, you didn't know this about Puppy Dog. Now we got to ask him this before we let him go. We got to ask him about Puppy Dog would take a RV and travel all over the United States, and he would just do some fishing. He play some golf. I mean, you wouldn't know that about him but I gotta tell us about some of your trips, dog. Real.
Yeah, we've taken from down to Texas all the way to California. One time I was going to Vancouver, and I'll just go hit the coast, and I'll pull boats I know one crazy trip I went to they said, well, you see the big pine trees out toward California. I forgot what they call it, but it says do not tow anything up there. Oh no, me, I'm thinking, I got the big RV, I can get it up there, and I got a powerful unit. About halfway up the trip, my red engine lights start coming on and everything. And so there's bears and all kinds of things in that arena. So I didn't make that. So I learned to listen to the signs and look at the signs on the road that tell you do not try to tow anything up a steep climb.
So you didn't get chased by a bear out there, though?
I'm glad I did not, because I'm the adventurous type of guy. I would have went out there on those trails because I hunt snakes and stuff.
You hunt what?
So yeah, you remember I had the snake. Oh, you guys, when I left Cleveland, I had pet pythons like 10, 12 feet. And I did a trick on the teams where we would have on bloopers, where we had 2 Gatorade coolers. And one cooler would come in and you're gonna do a raffle prize, and they gave just paper. Then we swapped the coolers when we had them blindfold. And then they reach in, they feel
no.
And then my pet snake would just come up, and you saw guys just scream and run and all kind of explicatives and stuff. So,
boy, let me tell you something. You talking about you looking at a man right here, a snake? I don't care whether it's poisonous or not. Yeah. I can't stand about it. A green snake, get him away from me. I don't want. and you just pick him up, pup. I know you. You just.
I just pick him up, go to him. I know because I used to go rattlesnake hunting in Round Rock to trap the snakes, and I don't know, just a crazy little fetish I had until I realized that this snake can actually kill me, and then so I just kind of stayed away from that.
Well, Pup, we know you gotta get back, Gab, but we really appreciate him.
I'm gonna have to What if I just came in here with a snake? You gave me a great prank idea.
Hell no.
Maybe it'll be a fake one. Maybe not.
Hell no.
You'll never know when it's coming.
You'll see his quick jam.
Yeah.
Quick jam.
Dog, get them hands on her. Tell her, Pup, that's one thing we got to do. Got to get them hands on her now.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I appreciate everything you guys have done for me.
Stephen, thanks so much for coming on. It was a pleasure, and have a great rest of your week.
All right, you too as well, and Happy New Year.
Watch this, Gab. Puppy Dog, God is good.
All the time.
My friend. I'll see you, big dog.
Same here. Y'all be good. Much love, y'all.
Thanks so much. We're going to take one more break. Well, actually, we got a few more breaks, but thanks for watching the Hanford Dixon Show. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to the Hanford Dixon Show. I'm Gabriella Cruz alongside the top dog. And I got to say, this guy makes himself laugh way too much, which I love. It's actually one of my favorite things about you. But You and your stories and
I
the
know,
bus rides, and you were like, "Don't tell him everything."
I know. I gotta keep it. We have to keep it to ourselves.
It was nice to have Steven on though.
It really was. I mean, he's we called him Puppy Dog, and I don't know why I got. Well, I guess because he
came
was,
up behind.
Yeah, it came up behind me, and he was like a little pup, and I said Puppy Dog. I introduced him as Puppy Dog, and that name just pretty much stuck to him the whole time. So it was good chatting with him. It really was.
Top dog, puppy dog. We'll have to have him on again.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at these playoff games we have coming up here. What are your thoughts on Kansas City playing in Baltimore, playing against the Ravens? Who do you think's going to win?
Boy, I tell you, that's going to be an interesting game. That would be the first game Sunday. I think that game, I don't know. I think 3:00. Maybe I'm wrong. But Kansas City, obviously we know what Mahomes and Kelsey and all those guys can do, and now they have a running game with what's the guy's name? Pacheco or whatever his name is. Yeah, I think in the last week he had 15 carries for 97 yards. But I don't think they're going to be able to do what they did against that Baltimore Ravens defense, because that defense is just awesome. I mean, you got Patrick Queen, Roquan Smith, Kyle Hamilton, who's back, that's playing extremely well. They don't have their number one cornerback, though. Talking about this, the cornerback, Marlon Humphrey. He didn't play, so he's a day-by-day thing. But you go into that offense, and Lamar's playing like an MVP. I mean, this guy, all the signs point to him having his number one weapon back, talking about Mark Andrews, the tight end. So I think he'll be back. So I think the Baltimore Ravens is going to win this game, but it's not going to be easy because everybody knows Mahomes' track record, and this guy, I think you pointed out a very interesting stat that each of his year that he's been in the NFL, he's been playing in this game. I mean, and the guy's he's got two. I think he's got two Super Bowls.
In the AFC Championship.
Yeah, he's been in the AFC Championship.
If he beats the Ravens, he will have made 4 of the last 6 Super Bowls.
Yeah. What's going to be even worse, this game is in Baltimore. They're playing in Baltimore. If this game was in KC, I would think that would be a little bit different. But this game is in Baltimore, and there's no way I could see them walking into Baltimore, beating the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore.
Okay, we've got to take one more break. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Hanford Dixon Show. We were just talking about the final teams in the playoffs, and you did give me your weighing in thoughts on Kansas City versus the Ravens. How about the 49ers and Lions? I mean, Lions, how do you not pull for them? Never having been to the Super Bowl and just the journey that they've had this season.
Well, you're right, and they're one of 4 teams that haven't been to the Super Bowl, and I guess you can name one other team, can't you?
Us being one of them.
You know it. You're exactly right. But the
Texans, Jaguars.
Yeah.
Browns.
You're good. See, I didn't even know the other 2.
Hey, listen, Google.
But this game is going to be interesting. You're right. This means a lot for the city of Detroit, and obviously we know San Francisco and all the Super Bowls that they've won with Jerry Rice and crew, and but Brock Purdy. I mean, this kid, man, Kittle. He's got a lot of weapons. But Detroit, man, Detroit is just like a city, just like Cleveland. They're a blue collar town. And their fans. I mean, even after they won even after they won the playoff game, you can see their fans. They're crying, and this means a lot to them. So I would like to see in the Super Bowl. I'm going to say this: I would like to see the Detroit Lions and the Baltimore Ravens.
All right,
those are 2 teams that I would like to see play this game.
You're so influential over me because that would be the matchup I would like to see.
Well, Gab, and who and with that matchup, who do you want to win? Gab?
Sorry, Ozzy. Sorry, Hanford. Sorry, Ozzy.
You're going to go with Detroit, aren't you?
Yes.
You know
yes.
what
I just think it's cool, and like you said, we have something in common with those blue-collar folks.
What am I going to do with you, Gabby? Good show.
Good show, Hanford. We got to get out of here. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next week.